Tommy Bird, what's happening? Cindy G, good to see you. How are you? Jane Aldrich, I'm glad that you're here. I went a little early, folks. I'm firing this thing up a little bit early. Today is Thursday, as you probably know. And Thursday is the day that we're going to go and work with the gentleman one-on-one at the rehab center here in the town of Salinas. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Ashley G, how are you? Joey girl, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Good to see you, Tommy Bird. Ashley G, how are you? We're going to revisit a topic that I've talked about a lot, but you know what? It's probably worth revisiting. I probably will not run a full hour because of how many things we got to get done before we head over there today. Chicka Cherry Cola, how are you?
Well, let them know I didn't go live last night.
Yeah, Johnny Scoville didn't go live last night because he had to make sandwiches for an entire rehab center. Should have seen him in the kitchen. It was incredible. Lisa Trimble made it on time. In fact, you're early because I fired this thing early and you're here. So that is impressive. I'll tell you something, people. I'm working through the last of some issues that are hung over from the previous spot I lived in. Yeah, this is going to be a good one, Barbara. Wait, you're in the right place. She says, sounds like what I needed to hear this morning. Happy is something that definitely needs to be talked about. You really can't do enough talking about that. Caroline, how are you? Good to see you, Jamie Palmer. Happy is an important subject, and we're going to talk about it today. But it'll probably be a little bit shorter than my normal routine on account of this is my favorite day of the week now. We're heading over there. We're going to try to get some content out of there. Renee B, good to see you. Boy, is it good to see you. One of the reasons it's delicate over there is they don't call dealers in this country, which I think is absolutely cool. You know what they call them? They call them pushers. People that sell drugs in this country are called pushers. Texas, good to see you. TXJ, there you are. They call them pushers, and I think that that's probably a more appropriate name. They're pushing dope onto people. That's exactly what they're doing. They don't like the rehab guys at all. Gemini Girl, good to see you. In fact, they hate them. One of the reasons that this place is in the Bat Cave and hidden the way that it is because they will come out and attack. They don't like seeing anything that is going to, good job for Johnny in the kitchen. Do we get pictures of that? I made a short or two. You will probably see some pictures. I walked up on him while he was doing it with the camera on. So you may see it. Last night he said to me, don't put that up. But now someone's asked for it, Johnny. There's nothing I can do about it. You have been overridden. But amazingly, can you imagine living in a place where if you open a rehab to help people, the dealers will show up and try to hurt you? Isis Flame, good to see you. Was it always Isis Aflame or is it Isis Flame? You know what? I thought, and that's how you say hello, people. Do you see that? That's a professional. Quit farting around. That's how you get it done right there. We called them drug pushers. You know what? I never, I remember the song, GD, the Pusher Man, but I never called them that. It's a more appropriate title. It really is, especially in this country. And again, I think I said this on one of the other lives. The addiction here is not to heroin, it's to H. Sounds a lot like the same thing, doesn't it? The difference is that H is a version of heroin that is actually refined. So it comes in a powder. I don't know what's in it. I have no idea. I do know that they have found concrete powder. They have found lye. They found some really ugly stuff in there for cut. Hey, Lee, good to see you. North, there we go. A little down under action. Glad to have you here. You know what, people? It only took me, I think, 4 years. The lifeboat, we didn't do a 4-year anniversary because it's just one of those things that I kind of take for granted now. But the 31st of July was the 4-year anniversary of the first video I ever put up. So it kind of came and went. But 4 years has gone, come and gone. And I don't know. I'm somewhat blown away by the fact that we've made 4 years. This is an ugly substance. It's way uglier than heroin. And it's ugly because, no joke, it's $1 a gram in Guayaquil. And $1 a gram is, what I was going to say is after 4 years, I have found a way to make this dark. So when I look at you now, instead of the white jamming out at me the way it's always done, which is awful, awful. and it's always kind of been a problem. I'm very cautious with what comes in my eyes on screens because of my brain condition. I try to do everything in black screen instead of in white screen. Spanx Calhoun, I went on the other day, and this is black. I know you guys ask about him all the time. Here's the thing with Spanx Calhoun. He is about 60 days away from having a very large procedure done that is going to make him look like Brad Pitt. Spanky I'm getting his grill done for him. His entire grill is being replaced, and he's getting implant, the whole works. He would probably not want to be on camera until then. And I'm not trying to put him on blast or make him uncomfortable, but that's kind of where it is. Night vision screen is a lot better, Joey Girl. There's no question. I've never been able to do it. Spanx Calhoun, I turned it on yesterday and just went, oh, good Lord, look at this. My entire computer is black, and it is absolutely lovely. It really is. It's lovely. Barbara White says reverse contrast is the only way I can read. It's a lot easier on me. I'll tell you what, it is a lot easier on me. Yeah, that's going to be a life changing for him, and he's going to do it here. So Spanky, in fact, he would have done it a week ago, but Spanky did not. He had Real ID, which he thought would get him into Ecuador. It will not. Real ID will get you into a lot of countries. In Ecuador, you need a passport. Plain and simple. A passport ID doesn't get it done. A passport card does not get it done. They want a passport. And to keep weirdos from coming to South America to get dope, because a lot of people do this. You'd be shocked how many people do this. You have to have a passport for 65 days before you can enter South America. It's like a 7-day thing on a gun, right? They want to make sure that you're coming here for a legitimate reason. So there's like a cooling off period there. You can't walk in here with a brand new passport. You need to have a passport that is at least 65 days old. So that will come up within the next month and a half. And Spanky's going to come here, and we're going to get him looking fantastic. Ashley G says, I'm getting an implant in 4 months, and I'm really scared. You know what? Don't be. No joke, one of my biggest fears in life is the dentist. Isn't that incredible? I don't know that I've ever said that live. Maybe I have. But I struggle. I can hop out of an airplane, but walking into a dentist office, I started doing this one. And the dentist that I went to the other day, the oral surgeon, whatever you call him, that I went to the other day, saw it instantly. Because one of the first things he said is, you haven't breathed since you sat down in the chair. He's like, you need to start breathing. Take deep breaths. He said, I promise you, this isn't going to hurt you. This is going to be a very painless extract. Is Ecuador the new Colombia now? You know what? It is not. Although, and I think what Renee means by that is Colombia does a lot with dentistry. There's an industry in Colombia where you go and get your grill done. It is absolutely massive. I was researching this before I moved to South America, and amazingly, more people go to Colombia to get their teeth done than go for any other reason. It is a tourism industry to go and get your grill done in Colombia, because you can go down there and get veneers or get a full, implant deal, where upper and lower full permanent implants for about 1/10 of what you would pay in the US. But my dentist is from Colombia, so there may be a little bit of a trade-off. A lot of doctors would rather now work in Ecuador than Colombia, whether you're a dentist or whether you do whatever kind of procedure. The reason for that is we spend American dollars here, right? So the exchange rates are difficult to work with. And sometimes you think you're doing really fantastic, and the next thing you know, if I do nothing else in the next week, I'm getting my passport. ISIS, everybody should have one. I'm telling you. Oh, I kind of like having large holes in my face and not being able to smile at people without scaring them to death. It's something I've gotten used to. Me too, Tommy Bird. This looks really good this way. If you saw me in person, I'm missing a grip, but not for long. I'm going to we're going to be doing the father-son package. I've got about 6 I'm going to be getting put in, and Spanky's going to be getting the Brad Pitt redo. And you know what? At that point, honest to God, it may sound silly, but if God were to take me the next day, I'd be cool with it. I haven't been the dad that I would have liked to have been to my kids, and I'm not beating myself up. So don't tell me I'm a great dad. I don't want to hear it, because I'm not beating myself up. I'm really not. But there was a long time there where I wasn't the person that I wanted to be, and I'm gonna make sure that these days I'm the dad that I want to be. You know, it was nice to give Spanky my car before I left. It was nice to set him up. I have to wait for the bone grafts. Ashley G, yeah, there's probably going to be a bone graft or two that Spanky has to deal with as well, but he's got a place to stay here and he can go out and swim in the ocean while everything is healing. I don't like the dentist either. Had one bad experience where the dentist refused to listen to me, but insisted on trying to play the role of shrink and figured out why I hate dentists so much. Wow. Yeah. You know, in the US, the only thing I wanted to do was be knocked out. Like if you could do sedation dentistry, I would do it. And when I'm an older guy, sedation dentistry was really a new concept. So I got knocked out a couple of times and had some things done. And then everything else that I had done by the BOP. And you want to talk about a bedside manner? Good Lord. I've been getting nitrous lately, and that makes it easy. Yeah, nitrous does help. You know, interesting side note, since so many of you are up on the ex-Scientology crew. L. Ron Hubbard and his affliction and his belief in, you know, some people think that it was completely a con, but there's a lot of evidence that he really believed his own bullshit. And, you know, at the end of his life, they actually, allegedly, he had the one person that was with him electrocute him at death to blow any thetans off before he died because he wanted to be able to leave this prison planet. Like he was a believer, allegedly. But it started in a dentist's office. The reason the guy's grill looked like baked beans is because he would not get anything done to his teeth. He had a very bad experience on nitrous. The doctor hooked him up to nitrous and then left. And while he was in there, he went into the wah, 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 wah. I don't know if you ever breathed any nitrous, but in a dentist's office, they cut it with oxygen. But if there's not enough oxygen, you get the wah-wahs and the room starts going wah, wah, wah. And you start getting this number. I used to sell that stuff at Grateful Dead concerts. So did Johnny Scoville. Outing him. What is happy, people? What is happy? It's a concept that sells about $1 billion worth of books a year. True story, right? This is something that we spend a lot of time in the Western world concentrating on. And it's fascinating because you're not going to find books in other parts of the world on how to be happy. In fact, they laugh at that concept. And I believe wholeheartedly that programming is the reason that we're unhappy. Right? Johnny Scoville likes to say, and it's one of my new favorite expressions, that comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare what you have to somebody else, all of a sudden you start getting a little bit less happy. You know, Johnny was saying in his the other day when he was talking about addiction, great show, man. If you didn't see that, go back and see it. It's a fascinating show. But when talking about addiction, Johnny said, if they gave me $1 million, I'd be looking at the guy that had 5 million. I'd be jealous of it. If you gave me 5 million, I'm looking at the guy that's got 10 million. And that's kind of how society runs. Billionaires are jealous of the guy that's got 100 billion. And it becomes this keeping up with the Joneses should never have been an expression. But we now build a society based on that. And it's, you know, I find myself cutting on the country of my birth, and it's not ever my intent. But just a quick aside. Do you see this? This is what a disposable paper towel is in this country. You can dry this, right? Get it wet, wash it and dry it and reuse it. This is as strong as something made of cloth. And you buy a roll of them this big for $1. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I can clean the entire kitchen with a disposable, right? Disposable.
You could put them in a washing machine.
You could put them in a washing machine. It's absolutely fascinating to me. And we have become a disposable society, right? This is a stone cold fact, whether you believe it or not. If you just bought an iPhone, I don't know what we're up to, 20? What's the iPhone at? 16, something like that? Okay. The iPhone 16, the 23 is already done. They already have the 23. They already know what the next 5 to 7 iPads are going to be capable of. And to me, this is fascinating. So it's built-in obsolescence. I have I started doing The Lifeboat 4 years ago on an iPad. I filmed on it. The camera was it. I did my thumbnails on it. It is a destroyed piece of equipment. You've never seen anything like it. In fact, we retired it. I've said this before, but I continue. It did officially retire today. It gave up. I've got a brand new one right here. Right. This is a brand new modern version of the iPad. This is the one that I use instead. Look at this thing. This is an original iPad. I don't know if you can see how badly broken all of this is. You probably can't. Maybe when it's off, you'll be able to. But there you go. Can you see how shattered that is? Okay. This thing is just destroyed. But the reason that I can still use this is I've never done an update on it. This went all the way to Congress. When you get updates on your phone and everything else, you know what the updates are for? To slow your battery down. No joke. They're not updating squat on your phone. They're sending out signals that are going to slow your phone down and make it more frustrating to use, so you will upgrade to the next model. That's no joke. There are devices you can buy online that will take all that crap off your phone, plug it into the bottom, and it will release all of the stuff that they have done to your phone to slow it down. You buy one of those devices and you'll be just fine with an iPhone 4 for the rest of the time that you're on planet Earth. The iPhone 4 allegedly has more computing power than all of the computing power that NASA used to put men on the moon. It's a fascinating concept. You know, I have not seen Brock in the chat today. He's usually here. Do you know why he's probably not here today? Because today is his birthday. And he's older than dirt because he was born in the same year I was. And I was really going to be looking forward to singing to him, but I'll have to do it in person, apparently. They are also stopping hackers so you can only use Apple stuff. It's absolutely phenomenal, the society that we live in. We buy things intended to break. If you go to the Smithsonian Institute, you will watch the first light bulb ever built. They light it once a day. They have a thing, hey, Katie, they have a thing once a day where they will light up the first light bulb ever built. And it makes you do this number right here, right? How the hell is the first light bulb ever built still working, but the one that I buy only gets me 600 hours or 500 hours? See, it depends, because depending on how much money you want to buy, how much money you want to spend is how long your light bulb will work. You can buy a 10,000 hour light bulb if you want to spend that much money on it. So they designed it to die at 10,000 hours? Well, that just sucks, doesn't it? That just sucks.
All the refrigerators here are 100 years old.
Yeah. First of all, here's something that you just don't see very often, right? Anything that you buy here, an appliance, any kind of a Brock Bandy. There you are. I was just talking about you.
Fossil.
You fossil. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Brock Bandy. I consider you a brother, man. Happy birthday to you. And I really do. Brock Bandy is one of the good ones, folks. Jamie Palmer, send me an email and I'll tell you how you can get that, because I don't have it here. The new light bulbs don't burn out anymore, do they? Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do.
Right.
And all light bulbs are designed to die. Now, there are urban legends that you hear constantly. One of them is that a guy came out with a depilatory cream, right? I think that's what you call it. Anyway, you put it on your face. After 4 or 5 applications, you'll never have to shave again. Can you imagine? Like, I would pay anything on earth for that. For real. I would have bought a smaller place and I would have paid for that so that I could put it on top of the top of my dome, right? Yeah, and not have to shave anymore. Allegedly, it was purchased by Gillette, right? It was sure as shit doesn't want that to happen because they sell a lot of razors. But that's the world that we live in, right? We live in a world where the things that we buy are designed to break. They are designed with obsolescence built into them. So if you buy a television set, they're designing that bad boy so that in 5 to 6 years, the technology will be so bad that you have to buy a new one. This erodes happiness because it makes us believe that all things are fleeting. It makes us believe that things like happiness, contentment, they're just going to be here for a minute. And if you want them for a longer period of time, you know what you need to do? You need to buy a book. And a book is going to tell you how to be happy. But that book probably isn't going to get it done. So if you're a self-help guru kind of a person, if you're one of those people that reads every self-help book ever written, guilty as charged, what's more than likely going to happen is you're going to read one of those books and you're going to take a couple of nuggets out of it and you're going to start feeling happy because you're concentrating on feeling happy. Yeah, happy's a choice. Believe that. Beautiful's a choice. You get up every morning and you choose to be happy or you choose not to. And you know how I know this? Because my favorite expression for decades was F my life. No joke. I said F my once after being in this country, after leaving America, getting frustrated as hell at something. I went F my, and Johnny looked at me and his eyes came up from what he was doing. And I stopped and I went, ah, damn. He goes, hey, you didn't finish it. I was conscious of the fact that that's a disgusting term. For real. It's bringing stuff in that I absolutely don't need. It is the dumbest thing in the entire world. Joey Girl says, when the new energy efficient bulbs come out, I bought a crap ton of the good old fashioned ones when they said they'd be obsolete. I have enough bulbs till I die and I'm fine with that. Good for you. I was a little bummed out at that concept too. I kind of like incandescent light. I'm sorry, I do. On the bright side, I live in a place where you can buy incandescent light bulbs all you want. This is a very, very different kind of a society. And it's funny because the number of people who reached out to me and said, man, you're comfortable moving to a third world country. Not a phrase I like much these days. And by the way, everything other than the United States and Russia was considered a third world country, whether or not everybody believes that. That is where the phrase came from. When the superpowers were going at it, you were either Russia or you were the United States. Anything else was considered a third world country. Now, I've been to Russia, and with all due respect to my friends in that country, that's a little bit more third world than where I live now, I promise you. I spent a lot of time there. But developing nations is a term I like a lot more. And there's some conveniences that you give up. But I would give up all of them to not have hatred as the drug of choice. Here's one of my problems. Here's one of the reasons that you know, and I know that it sounds like I'm picking on America. I'm not trying to. It's the country of my birth. I love the people there. But we've lost our way. And one of the problems is happiness. One of the problems is that we don't treat each other with kindness. Get out of a taxi cab before you pay in the United States and see what happens. Pull over in a cab and get out like you're going into your pocket to pay, and the cab driver is going to come out of that door ready to knock you to the ground. I'm telling you, that's kind of how it works. You pay while you're in the cab because they will never trust you to leave in this country, nobody pays in the cab. It's never done. Do you know why? Because no one would run on a cab. It's just not something that you would do, right? It's not how it works. And when I explained these things, I was having a conversation with the cab driver about this. And I said to him, in the United States, you have to pay inside the cab. And he did this number, right? And he goes, why would that be? I said, because they don't want someone to run away. He goes, and not pay? I said, yeah. He goes, why would they do that? Pretty interesting question. Sometimes the extended 5% makes it hard to choose happiness. I continue to try, and sometimes it works. You know what? I'm glad you said that. Hey, Spicy Jen. Lisa has touched onto something that's super important. The emissions from cars in Ecuador are brutal for my breathing when they're in traffic. Were you in Guayaquil or Quito? Because I know that in the cities, that's probably a lot more of an issue. It's not something we run into here much. It's probably 10-to-1 bikes to cars here. You only see, for every car you see, I would say 3 out of 5 of them are taxi cabs. Most people in this part of the country don't have cars. Most people walk, but I live in a very small, going from one side of this town to the other is about $2.50 in a cab. So it's a little bit different. Do I speak Spanish? I am on the way. I am trying. It is not a hindrance at all because in this day and age, I can take my phone and I can speak into it almost in real time and hold it up and it will translate it into Spanish and vice versa. But I spend a lot of time learning the language. It's something that I'm very serious about. But Lisa's tapped into something important because 5% of our life is things that cannot be avoided. You find out that, your engine blew in your automobile. There's nothing you can do about that, right? Maintenance and all that, you're doing everything right. And then boom, I have not tried KFC yet. I have not eaten anything that I could get in America since I got here. I sort of am, I shouldn't say that. I eat steak a lot, but I can buy a tomahawk steak for like $8. So I eat a lot of steak. The 95% of your life is how you're going to deal with it. And this, to me, this was my biggest problem in life. And the realization that this was my biggest problem in life has changed happy for me. Because what I did it the exact opposite. I made 95% of my existence the things that I couldn't control, which caused me to say F my life constantly. I stubbed my toe, anything, the smallest things in the world. And I felt like the creator of the universe was picking on me. I found out that when I turned that paradigm completely around, tomahawk steaks in my neck of the woods are $40. Yeah, Jamie Palmer.
T-bones are 3 or 4.
Yeah, we pay $2 or $3 for a T-bone. It's and these are 28-day grass-fed. You know what I mean? This is the best steaks in the world. The opposite paradigm is that the things that I can't control, I got to just give it up. So Lisa, let's just say that the most frustrating thing in the entire world is happening to me. Let's say that I have a terminal illness. There are people that I have met through this channel, and some of you have been around long enough, remember them. They will affect me for the rest of my life, because until the day they died, they were the most positive and loving people on the planet. You know, I remember talking to Steve Molesky up until the day he passed. There was never a point that he went, I can't believe this is freaking happening to me. And if my heart was shutting down and I was on a list to get a new one and I didn't get it, I would struggle to not say, why me? But the people who say, why me, are the most miserable people that you've ever met. And the people that say, you know what, I can't control that. All I can control is how I am in spite of that. Right? I've been blessed in my life, and it's sad because I had to really change a lot to realize this was blessing. I've told this story before, but there was a teacher that I had in high school who, hey, William Ellis, good to see you, man. There was a teacher I had in high school that left the school. He wasn't teaching anymore. And somebody came up to me and said, hey, Mr. P wants to see you. And I was like, he's in the office? He said, no, he wants you to go to his house. And I was like, what is that about? And he wants your friend Jason to go with you. And we went to his house, and he said to me, are you still doing drugs? And he was yellow. He was a very short Italian guy. He was like 4'9", 4'10", really short dude, but very close friend of my family's and just a good human being. But he said, are you still doing dope? Don't lie to me. And I said, nah, man, I'm done. Of course I was doing dope. I said, no, I quit, Mr. P, I promise you. And he said, what about you, Jason? And Jason goes, every once in a while. And he goes, because the doctor told me if that I got weed, it might help me eat, because the cancer treatments are making it so that I can't eat anything. I'm not hungry. And he goes, so I'm trying to get some of that stuff. And Jason reached into his pocket, took a bag out, put it on the table. I did the same thing. He said, I'll write you guys a check for this stuff. But I got to go and see him about once a week until he passed. And he was the biggest basketball fan you've ever seen. And while I was in his house one day, he said, I'm living for the Final Four, right? March Madness. He was literally living for the Final Four. When that was over, he wasn't going to be around anymore. But he wasn't concentrating on the fact that the whole world was going to go and that he was going to die. That was a love in his life, and it always had been. And the 5% he couldn't control. He was going to die. He could control whether or not he watched that. And I think he willed himself alive. He died 2 days after the championship. But it was a blessing to see somebody face the end of their life and not piss and moan about it. And I've been on the other side of that equation since starting the Love Boat. I promise you I have. There have been people that were terminally ill who called me to bitch about the drugs that they were giving them. And it's bizarre because, you know, this one individual in particular who said to me, all they'll give me is MS Contin. That's morphine, right? And I've done MS Contin. I've done a grip of it. It was a time-released morphine product. So I said to the dude, how many are they giving you? And when he told me the milligram amount, I said, hey, cut the coating off the outside of it. And you take that and it's instant release. You're going to get an entire day worth of morphine in 2 hours, right? You're going to go, I promise you, it's going to knock out any kind of pain. And he would call back and say, I took 6 of them. I don't care what kind of pain you're in. I don't care what kind of pain you're in. 6 MS Contins without a peel on the outside of it are taking care of that pain. If they cut your legs off with a hacksaw, you could take 6 of those bad boys and you're not going to feel it. But if you concentrate only on the fact that you're in pain instead of the world around you, all you're going to feel is the pain. Most of this shit goes on in our head, whether people want to realize it or not. Take this from a junkie. I knew more about pain than I thought anybody on earth. And I knew that when the dope was gone, the pain was going to kill me. I had tried it so many times, but I don't take anything for pain. Nothing. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Currently, I'm taking a really strong NSAID because of the extraction. But I had them chisel out a tooth out of my jawbone. They couldn't pull it all the way out or I would have lost enough jawbone. So they had to chisel and grind it down. And afterwards, they didn't say, here's a couple of OxyContins. In the United States, they'd have given me a 40-day supply of it. They said, we can give you, it's kind of like Motrin, give you 800 milligrams. But I didn't think, holy God, I'm going to die. I thought, you know what? I'll get through this. And my pain level hasn't been above a 2. I understand what you're saying, but watching someone die, especially someone who has lost his happiness, makes it hard. Even trying to give it to God can be hard. I try. Lisa, I can't imagine. Truthfully, I can't. I think that the best we can hope for in a lot of occasions is to try to be the best version that we can be. There are times that choosing happiness is literally going to be a physical as opposed to a psychological thing. Hey, AVAC, have a great vacation. I'm glad you're here with us. This is, I'm going to say something and I'm probably going to come off as a dick. But you know what? Like my show last night, I'm getting to a place where honesty is now more important than almost anything in my life. The person you're watching die didn't strike me as a person who ever had a whole lot of happiness. That may be a shitty thing to say. But as somebody starts to leave this planet, my dad said to me right before he died, I want you to do my eulogy. And I went, oh my God, you talk about a shitty thing to ask your kid to do. He said, you're a great speaker. Sorry. He said, you're a great speaker. And I said, what an ugly thing to ask somebody to do. It was one of the saddest, anyway. It's a tough thing to watch somebody that you care about go. My dad was happy till the day he died because he chose to be happy. There are people that are still here in my family who are miserable. They choose it. You can't control that individual, Lisa. You can't. All you can control is the 95%. And I'm sure that it's difficult to watch him. But as my dad said to me, the reason I want you to do this is because when someone dies, they become a hero. They become perfect. Nobody says, you know what? He was kind of a dick when he first got up in the morning. What they said is, he was great. I miss him so much. George Floyd has a street named after him. There are foundations in his name. He died passing a fake $20 bill with enough fentanyl in his system to kill a school bus full of kids. Hero? As people start to die, all of a sudden we make them into something that they're not. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm sure I'm coming across that way. But was this person super happy in the best of days? Or are we attributing something to this person because now in the end, we look back and we think, oh, you know what? I remember when they were so nice to me that day. My dad said, you got to do the eulogy. Because if anybody else does it, they're going to turn me into a saint. My dad lost his mind when somebody didn't put the lid back on a ketchup bottle because a fly was going to get in it. And that's what he would say every time. Hey, a fly's going to get in that. There were things that drove my dad insane. If he got to the bottom of the hill and he had to wait before taking a right-hand turn, he would say, I moved to East Jesus, right? And I got to wait for traffic. I moved to this place so there wasn't traffic. There wasn't traffic. One car would go by a day. But if we happened to time it at the same time, he'd lose his mind. He was one of the most impatient people you ever met on planet Earth until things got bad. And then he never raised his voice. He got incredibly calm. And when hand grenades were flying all over the place and everybody was panicking because his son was a bank robber or his son was a heroin addict, my dad became the coolest and the calmest person you've ever seen. And the advice he gave was incredible. I don't make him into something he wasn't. He had tons of flaws. I watched my father punch 2 guys out in my life. Right? He wasn't the most patient of guys. One of the guys he hit, if he had done it today, my dad would have been in prison and I wouldn't have got a chance to hang out with him. He was dropping my sister off at a high school and a guy did something that was very disrespectful. A high school kid. And my dad got out of the car and open-handed him. Would have been deep trouble in this day and age. You know what happened? The kid's father said, if Moose slapped you, you probably had it coming.
Sent him to military school.
Sent the kid to military school. Changed his life. Yeah. We live in a different time today. And I'm not picking on you, Lisa. I'm not. But we have, watching somebody that you care about pass is impossible to do and remain happy. It is. So what you're saying is you're doing a pretty good job. I mean, that's how I'm reading it. You know, you make the effort to do that, pull out a journal and start doing gratitude journaling. Every time you feel your stuff starting to slip into the ugly, pick up the book and start journaling about the things that you're grateful for in life, right? For real. Barbara Waite says, as my friend was dying, she told me my blessings greatly outnumber my challenges. I'll never forget that. My friend, my best friend from high school, guy did more drugs with in high school than anybody else. He was on the football team with me. He was the guy that I spent every single waking minute of my high school career with. If I was up, I was probably with him, and we were probably doing something we shouldn't have been doing. In fact, there was a section in the yearbook where it said, remember when? And it would be like, you know, remember when so-and-so crashed his car into the high school? Or you remember? The first one on there said, remember when? My birth name, not the Tommy Scoville name. And I'll call him Lurch, right? But remember when those two were good little boys? That was the very first one on there. It was my homeboy. He fell out of a window, tripping on acid in San Francisco on New Year's Eve, 1991. And became what they call a partial quadriplegic. He can move his arms. What he can't do is this, right? There's no way he's a partial. There are things he can do with his hands, but he went on to get a college degree. He was a burnout. He wasn't going to college. He was touring with the Dead. He went on to get a college degree, a master's degree, and then he worked for the state of Arizona, being the guy who had to deal with people that were trying to pretend that they had injuries to get government assistance. And he did that long enough to retire. And one day we were hanging out and I just was not having a particularly good day. And I was watching him try to get himself into the chair by himself. And it put a lump in my throat. And he looked over me and he said, knock that crap off. And I said, I'm sorry, man. He goes, I can do anything you can do, pal. It just takes me a little bit longer to do it. I went on a road trip to the Northeast and I hadn't been up there in a long time. Truth be told, I was smuggling drugs. But I showed up and I went onto the access road in Killington, Vermont. And as I'm driving, I see taillights off the side of the road. Like you could visibly see, but you're not looking at it. You could just see that they were glowing up. And the guy that I was with, who had never been to Vermont before, said, there's a car off the road. I said, you think so? He said, 100%. So I pulled over and then we backed up and I got out of the car and it was Lurch. He had gone off of the road driving in a handicapped van. But the day he got that van, he had never driven a handicapped van. A friend of ours whose parents died on that flight that blew up in Long Island that people thought was hit with a missile. When he got the check from the airlines, everybody got a check. He bought $100,000 and some odd handicapped van and gave it to my friend. He pulled it up in the driveway and my friend looked out and went, Lurch looked out and goes, you bought a van? He's like, yeah, but look at it. It's badass. He's like, yeah, but you bought a van. And he's like, it's got skirts on it. It was a very cool looking van. And he's like, I may end up trading it anyway. He's like, I'd get rid of it. It's a van. Lurch kept saying to him, he's like, yeah, and it's got all this handicap crap in there that I got no idea what to do with. Just hooked my friend up. He went out there, figured out how he got in, how the stuff worked. Everything had to be done with hand controls, the gas, all of it. That day, he got in the car and drove from Vermont to California and hit every friend along the way. He stopped in Texas to see me. I was on the run. So he went to my dad's house. He stayed for 2 days with my dad. They drank beer. They hung out. He wasn't going to let the 5% dictate the rest of his life. I would have. I'm telling you, I would have. I don't think I could give up my legs. One day he said to me something that if I live to be 5,000, I will never forget. And I said to him, I can't believe you got a master's degree. It absolutely blows my mind. It really does. You know what I mean? I didn't get a college degree until I was in prison and until I was in my mid 40s. But he said to me, nothing ever got in the way of my success quite like my legs. I'm not made of that. But happiness is a choice. And he gets up every morning and he chooses happiness. It's a difficult thing, but it's the only thing, right? It's going to affect everybody around you. It's going to be how people remember you. And you know what? You're going to find yourself surrounded by people who are unhappy. If you choose the different route, people will remember you. And you know what? When you die, they'll say that they ought to name a street after you. They won't remember the stupid stuff that you've done. They'll remember the time that you chose to be kind. Ashley G says, I'm choosing happiness for right now. That's all you can do, right? We don't have shit stuff that we can control about tomorrow. I'm sorry. I don't do well with that. I got to work on not saying that word. Seriously, I'm better than that. We can't do anything about tomorrow. And yesterday we can journal about, right? We can try to work through. But the dictation, right? What's going to make you happy or not is whether or not you choose today to be happy in this moment. The things that happened to me as a kid, the time that I spent in prison, I can make prison content for the rest of my life and get a lot more views. Talk about who stabbed who. I don't want to live in the past. I don't get any pleasure out of it. Living in this moment right now is where I want to be, and I'm going to choose happiness. Lisa Trimble says, one of the reasons I come here is because everyone is loving and supportive. I'm very grateful. Well, that's the only reason that I come here. And now I am going to go and put together, get everything packaged up to go talk to these guys in rehab. I will be back tomorrow. I love you guys. I really do. Brock Bandy, happy birthday, man. Appreciate you. Sorry this one was a bit off today, people. It's been one of those mornings. But I'm going to choose happiness today. I will see all of you tonight. Between now and then, do me a favor and put a little love in your heart. Tell you what, even on days I'm not great, the chat always is. You ever notice that? The chat doesn't have a bad day. Pretty good stuff. We'll see you tonight, people. Between now and then, put a little love in your heart. I'm Tommy. We'll see you on the next one.